Podcasting from the Sound of Freedom Studios, this is Local Politics. This episode is sponsored by Cartwheel Communications, web development, e-commerce, and SEO that leaves a lasting impression. All right, welcome to the 2023 City of Schertz Council Member Place 3, 4, and 5 question and answer forum. So here's what's going on. Schertz has 3 citywide open seats because Place 3 Council Member Jill Whitaker is stepping down. Place 4 Council Member Michael Dalla is stepping down. I heard he's moving to Selma. Place 5 Council Member David Scagliola has decided to step down. Are they also moving to Selma? Of course, Councilman Scagliola has been a staple on the council for as long as I've been involved in our community here. He's been on and off, and he's done a lot for the city of Schertz in his service. He was always an interesting guy to follow because you'd be in a discussion on this with the Schertz Council, and it would come around to David, and you didn't really know what he was going to say, and you would think he's going to go somewhere, and it would be a completely different direction. So he was kind of always interesting. All right, so residents who are registered to vote in Schertz will get 1 vote for Place 3, 1 vote for Place 4, and 1 vote for Place 5. All the election information can be found on the City of Schertz website or by clicking the link in the description below. Last day to register to vote is Tuesday, October 10th. If you're not registered, you got to get that done by Tuesday, October 10th. First day of early voting. The action starts October 23rd, and Election Day, of course, is November 7th. We have a link to the polling locations down in the description below. There's a lot of places you can vote. Usually, of course, if you want to come meet all the candidates and former and past and the whole town, everybody that's involved in local politics, you can stop by Elbell Road, the county offices. Everybody will be out there under the oak trees holding their signs. It's a great place to get some questions answered. Okay, question 1. What is your name, and can you tell us about yourself? Who are you?
Who am I, right? My name is Robert WESTBROOK. Born and raised in San Antonio, in and around this area. Been with the San Antonio Fire Department for 24 years now. Been with Schertz Cibolo Independent School District since 2011. Enjoyed it the whole time. Me and my ex-wife, we moved out here for the quality of life. We had 2 children. Both of them graduated from Clemens High School. Both of them are now productive citizens of society. And so that's a little bit about me. Some recent achievements. I was on the school board when we were an honor board. A lot of hours of continuing education, and probably most important, I think my past experience sets me up for future success with the city council, with City of Schertz.
My name's Paul KENDZIOR. Lived here in Schertz proper since 2020 when we bought our home over in Northcliffe. Living in Northcliffe has required me to be pretty active in the politics going on around here. Really sum it up, I'm a family man, I'm a neighbor, I'm just somebody that really cares, and I have this belief that if you've got the ability and the knowledge, that you have a responsibility to step in where you can make a difference. It's the thing that I try to instill in my daughter. It's been thoroughly instilled in me throughout my life, and because of some unfortunate circumstances and good circumstances, right? I've had the opportunity to learn a lot of things about the way that local government works and the processes and how it's intertwined and really how we feel it, so much more here based on what's happening just off Schertz Parkway, more so than what's happening out of Washington, And I wanted to get involved. I wanted to be a voice. I've been very blessed this last couple years to have been able to step up and help to guide my neighborhood, guide my community to, hopefully reach resolution that's going to be the best that we can, right? You'll never make anybody happy, but all the people happy, but most of them. And we can find something that's responsible, that's ethical, that's just a good fit, And I see these problems that are happening in my neighborhood. They're just microcosms of a much bigger thing that's happening all around Schertz. And so I feel called to serve in a much greater capacity in that. And that's why I ran for city council. This is my second time running. I ran last year, coming completely into it green, literally skidding in with an application at the last minute. And we learned a lot of things. And I'm taking that and we're carrying that momentum forward. And, it's going to be, I feel really confident about this year. It's going to be a great year. We've got a lot of things that are getting done. There's a lot of changes going around Schertz. And more so important than anything, so much more of the community is getting involved. There's so much more awareness to the things that are happening, to development that's moving in, to, rezoning, to laws. You look at the Canine Meador situation that's going on. Everybody's got a finger to the heartbeat of what's happening in our city. And so being poised in that position where the community's involved and people want answers and they want to know and they want transparency and to see how it works, like, that's amazing. Like, this is the time that you get in, and with 3 seats coming up, that's a great opportunity to get 3 people on there that's really going to push our city council in the direction that our community wants to take it. So it's a great opportunity.
Question 2, why are you running for Schertz City Council Place 5?
Well, most importantly is I think every 2 years on the school district, on the school board, we go to elected officials and try to plead our case, right? And try to get them to understand the importance of public education. But I heard a story, so I have a lot of plants at the house, probably too many. My kids say I'm a plant hoarder. I've trees, I have fruit trees. Anyway, even tried to grow corn in my backyard this year. But I heard something on Instagram the other day, and I might butcher the story, but it might illustrate why I'm running, right? And so it loosely goes like there was a farmer. He was well known for raising great corn, right? Year after year, he would always win for well-grown corn. So a reporter decided to reach out to him and see what his secret was. And so the reporter found out something very interesting. He shared his seed corn with his neighbors. And so during the interview, the reporter says, "Hey, why would you share your best seed corn with your neighbors?" And then the farmer says, "Don't you know that the wind, it sort of picks up and distributes, during the wind, picks up and distributes the pollen from ripening corn from field to field to field. If my neighbors have inferior corn, then cross-pollination over time will decrease the quality of my corn. So it's in my best interest, right, to share my corn and to make the whole community better." And so it's much like that with life and with with what I've learned from the school district. I'm the wind. I must sort of share what I know with the city council. I must learn from the city council, and then I will share with the people on the school board. It's basically process improvement, quality improvement, learning from each council. And so I have something to offer. I've served for 11 years, done my best at the school district. Now I want to share what I've learned with the city council and with the citizens of Schertz who've already trusted me with so much more. They've already trusted me with their children, right? They've already trusted me with their money. I just want to pass it along to Schertz City Council.
Well, I'm running for Schertz City Council Place 5. Like I said earlier, I feel called to serve in a much greater capacity. I've been working with our neighborhood really hard, trying to get the North Cliff PID up off the ground so that we can protect the green space and protect the way of life that we have out there in my neighborhood. And as we've gone through the struggles with the rezoning regarding that property and everything that's happened, I've learned so much more. And people have reached out to me, from all over Schertz. I'm literally going to leave here and go meet with another community member that it has a similar situation happening in their backyard. And people are starting to recognize that, if we get together and we get organized and we do things the right way, yelling and screaming on Facebook or showing up to the council meetings and bad-mouthing everybody, that doesn't get it done. There's a process and we have rules and, we have a great UDC and a comprehensive land use plan, which they're working to update right now, but we have all of these guidelines that are set in place. And the problem is that education just hasn't kept up with what's going on. So most people are, not for their own fault, ignorant of what's going on, with the city and how to go about fixing these things. So it's been a great opportunity to be able to step up and bring some of this knowledge that I have about these different areas and get it in there. And then it's a collective hive mind. I'm one person. I know a handful of things very well. I know a handful of other things less well. But the thing that that sets me apart, that's always been my credo, so to say, is to seek out the answers, to find the people that have them. That's what real leadership is. It's not having the answers all the time. It's going and getting them and not being afraid to. And so this year, I've had a lot of opportunity to reach out and work collectively with people that, it's changed my ideals on some things. It's opened my eyes to new stuff. I've been able to reinforce different points with folks, and really we've come together and we've shown time and time again that if you get up and you follow the process and you stand united and you're persistent, eventually you're going to reach a more positive outcome than if you just, complained on Facebook. So that's my goal. That's what I feel. I feel our city council can do a lot more as leaders to reach out and get our community involved and to get them active and to participate in the process, because you're not upset about what you know is happening, right? And that's one of the big things that motivates me. The stuff's happening all over Schertz, and I want to be somebody that's able to help educate and bring folks in, and we can work together to make a difference for the community that we all share and we all love.
Question 3. What makes Schertz a great city, and what are the most important challenges facing Schertz?
Me and my ex-wife, me and my kids, my son, we still live out here in Schertz. So what makes Schertz great is the quality of life. We moved out here. There was a book titled by Sonia Solomon called Newcomers to Old Towns. And I think that's part of the reason why there's been a large amount of growth in Schertz and Cibolo, especially Schertz over the past few years. The quality of life and what it has to offer, the small town feel, the safety, the security, the feeling, right? It's the environment, right? And so in that process, in that whole discussion, I was sitting down with some of my supporters and some of the community leaders and thinkers. And so we essentially came up with a SWOT analysis. For those who are aware of it, is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And so some of the things that we came up with were strengths for the city of Schertz, were quality of life. It's a location. It is a commuting zone, right? Not far from not far from San Antonio, not far from Austin. Town government is well run. We have a great history of mayors. Workforce, we have educated people, highly educated, and plenty of veterans. High socioeconomic population base. Housing is pretty well-to-do, right? Upper middle class. We have some good infrastructure. And like I said, I was on the school district board. And so I believe our schools are a destination district, great for families. And then we have 2 chambers of commerce. We have the Tri-County Chamber of Commerce, and then we have the Chamber. And both of them are committed to community leadership and services to its members, right? And so that's what I think some of the strengths are. There's weaknesses, a few weaknesses. There's a few opportunities and threats there, but you come here for the positives and not the negatives.
So Schertz is a great city. We're growing, we're developing, we're getting lots of new things brought in here. But at the same time, we still have that small town feel. Yesterday I was out hammering T-posts up for signs coming up Schertz Parkway. Some woman and her daughter, they had broke down in the left-hand lane right at one of the stop signs. I pulled up right behind them within a couple minutes of them breaking down. 3 other people jumped out of their cars. We went over to her car, got her all squared away. We pushed her car while a 4th person parked across the lanes at the intersection of block traffic, moved them over, got them business cards for, tow truck and situated. Somebody brought them some ice waters because it's hot and the engine's not running. That's the type of community that I fell in love with in Schertz. That's the thing that's important to me. And that's something that we don't see a lot of these days. And so that's a regular occurrence here in Schertz. We have fantastic people. We're in such close proximity to the Air Force Base that we're lucky. We have a lot of military people here, and we have a lot of civil servants and people that understand the core values of service before self. And they really work to be a community. And I think that's probably my favorite thing about Schertz. It's one of the things that makes me proud about where I live. Tomorrow we've got the Love Where You Live cleanup event, all of that stuff going on. These are the little things that you don't get in a big city, but Schertz has the size to actually create really nice things and that we're able to implement and show value to our citizens. The biggest things that's coming up for Schertz right now is definitely going to be development. As it's coming in, we're growing, and growth is not without some growing pains and problems, and how we navigate that and how we work through that is really going to set a standard for how we move forward. We've got some infrastructure issues that are in process of being addressed or still need to be addressed. It's all of this pre-preparation is what's going to set us apart from other cities that had a lack of understanding of looking long term. And, those are going to be the big ones. The other thing to me, our tax rates. Schertz, unfortunately, we fell behind on our pay schedule for a lot of our city staff for a long, long time. And so that meant we had to make a big adjustment to help retain people, to keep the best and the brightest here in our city. And so I think we're going to need to work very hand in hand to have smart, conservative budgets that are going to allow us to reward the people that come here and give us their best. But at the same time, we need to start working to bring our tax rate down. We need to start looking at the new revenue model or different incentives that we can do to help out people so that you don't get priced out of living in this town. That's a great place to be.
Question 4. Have you served on any committees in Schertz, or do you belong to any organizations?
Definitely. I am an individual member of the chamber. I'm an individual member of the Tri-County Chamber of Commerce. Obviously, I've served on the Schertz-Cibolo Universal City Independent School District since 2011, honor board in 2016. I've been mentored by some of the best presidents here, Dave Pivoto, and I've had Dr. Greg Gibson, and no matter how you feel about Dr. Ely, he really is, he has something to offer. He's taught me a lot, and so I've learned leadership. Michael Carpenter was mayor. But anyway, my service on the school board is I've learned a lot from a lot of great leaders, right? And so, yes, those two. Let me see what else. The list is super long, but I serve on several other TASB. I don't know if everybody's familiar with the Texas Association of School Board. But as a condition of me being a school board member, I had the opportunity to be elected by 55 regional school districts to be a board of directors for the Texas Association of School Board, and we're basically responsible for developing school boards all around the state of Texas and advocating for the 5.5 million students in the state of Texas. So I've been on several committees there. I'm currently the chairman of the Lone Star Investment Pool. As of February, we had $22 billion in assets there, and I'm the chairman of that one. And so I've had the opportunity to serve on different committees. I'm the chairman of the Generations Federal Credit Union Supervisory Committee. I just try to get involved, stay informed, and do the very best I can for the community in which I serve.
So I haven't served on any of our city committees here in Schertz. I am working as an advisor to the Northcliffe PID Committee. That's the process of working to unite our neighborhoods. It's made up of about 5 different HOAs, so you got a lot of back and forth, a lot of go between. It's 100-something acres of land that we're trying to get reestablished into something that's going to help fit our growing and changing community while keeping that feel. I've been working on that. I've been so incredibly blessed this year to have learned a lot more about reaching out and getting in touch with people. I've sat down with our police chief and talked about them and the changes that are happening on with the city there. I've been involved in a lot of that type of stuff, learning and talking to officers and finding out what it is, their expectation for a council member is and what they view as a positive relationship and how we can help each other to do the job that we need to do for the people in our community. I've got to meet with our EMS chief and looked at their plans for growth and the things that they're going to be doing. I'm still yet to meet with the fire chief and talk about that, which I'm excited about that one, former firefighter. I can't wait to go stand on a truck again. But, I've been able to get out involved and get really in the ground level with so many of these people to really get this understanding of the city. And, that's been in my involvement is being somebody that can reach out or that's available when you want to reach out or that tries to come and find you when something's going on in your neighborhood. And so I've met so many people, from Northcliffe to the south side of Schertz to right over here behind Bussies. There's a lot of stuff that's happening and being involved in my community and now broadening my involvement past just, my immediate area. That's what I've been working on doing this year.
Question 5. What is the most pressing issue specifically facing the city of Schertz?
I think there are 2 pressing issues right now. High density housing. I think we're going to have to deal with that, which is essentially the growth, right? City of Schertz increased their growth by like 10.5% over the last year or something to that effect. We're along the I-35 corridor. We're expected to grow Yeah, it's growth, right? No, now how do we handle that growth? Now here's how. So the pressing issue is growth and housing, and how do we handle it? Whether we do it through high density housing or some other method, how do we handle our growth? So that's the first issue, and I think the second issue is sort of the infrastructure of how do we handle that growth and support our growth. And so we're gonna have some issues, but high density housing might be the best one.
Right now, I think if you were to ask anybody what's going on in the city of Schertz, two biggest things that they're going to tell you is Northcliffe, Canine Meador. And those are just the surface of much deeper issues that we have going on. Right now, I think the biggest thing that our city is going to face as we grow is going to be this transition and development, right? We've come through and slapped a whole lot of subdivisions up. And we've built a lot of really, really nice communities. I mean, the average home price in Schertz is $433,000, right? So very nice communities that attract good families to come out here and want to grow and set down roots. Now we're going to start to see a change as we try to bring in more of the amenities and the services that the city needs, where we help our businesses, where we are able to bring in, different chains or sit-down restaurants or things that aren't just a dentist office or a car wash or a nail salon, right? As we see that happen, we need to have diverse housing, right? So we need to have some dense areas and things like that. And as the city begins to go through this process of growing, and as more stuff starts to get packed in that's closer to its neighbors, it's going to have a greater effect. If you throw something out in the middle of nowhere, it's not as public as when it's coming up right on your backyard or next door. And so there's a lot of ambiguity in our UDC, as well written as it is and as good a guide as it is, and there's not a lot of understanding going forward. We look at something like a PDD, right? A PDD can be anything. Absolutely anything. It could be a mixed use, community that's going to have some single family residential, some high density housing, some, light commercial or things like that. A PDD could be set up to be like a baseball complex and all of the accompanying, like say sports type strip mall that could be with it. We need to work as leadership in our city to remove that ambiguity, right? Daylight's the best disinfectant. And when you have clear, concise guidelines for people, you're not surprised. And you take away surprise, you probably take away a lot of the outrage that goes on. And so we need to work as a city to address those shortfalls in our UDC, by creating a base zoning or addressing things in our UDC that are not to be varianced, like our impervious coverage. A lot of our city's in a flood zone. This is an important thing that needs to be looked at. And so just the clarification on that's going to be really, really important. The last thing that's going to be super important is as we go through this Main Street beautification thing and the improved parking surface stuff, we're getting a lot of our longtime small business owners trapped up in the net. And they're facing a lot of costs. And so the city needs to navigate a way to help support them and show them that we want them to stay here. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing.
Question 6. Have you started campaigning? If so, what have you learned?
It takes a team. It takes a teamwork, takes a vision, takes a teamwork, takes some communication, coordination, and cooperation. I think if you have those three aspects, communication, coordination, cooperation, you're off to a good start. So yes, I've started putting signs up around major intersections, right? Starting from the bookends and working my way towards the center. And I think the best part about getting out is you generally want to ask permission from landowners, right? And so getting out there, meeting business owners and calling them up and sort of seeing what's in their best interest, right? And sort of saying, hey, listen, Robert Westbrook running for city council. One, I ask them bottom line up front, can I use your property? But what else is concerned to you, right? And so you get to learn what they value, what they want from a city council person. And so it opens up the lines of communications. And I think that's the very best part, is opening up the lines of communication. And the other thing I think is about communication is campaigning. You just get to know people. So many times we're in this echo chamber. I'm in the school board echo chamber, right? So I hear about school board stuff all the time. And now that I'm campaigning and walking door to door occasionally, I'm starting to hear about more city issues, right? And so what's important to them, and what about my sidewalk? Can you fix that one? And can you this one? And so I try to tell them, I try to remain above the fray. at a certain level, and I try to compile information, right? And so what I don't want to do is try to solve everybody's individual problems, but I get a consensus of how that affects the whole community for the city of Schertz. And that's my matrix. If you look on my campaign sign, on the little shield, the fire department shield, you'll have my decision matrix, community first, right? Then you have communication, then you have service, right? And then you have accountability. That's what I will make most of my decisions on with the city council, what affects the whole community. So I see this street has problems, this street has problems. Is this a community-wide issue, and what makes the community better, right? Accountability. If there's ever any issues with me, please hold me accountable, because I will certainly look in the mirror myself and see if I can solve problems myself. And then service, lifelong service, right? 24-year firefighters, 12 years on the school board, service, public servant. And next, how do you do all of that? Communication. You have to engage people and talk and be willing to talk to them and open up. And so that's it.
Well, we've been working on it. We've been working on it really since last year, right? These things are not sprints, they're marathons. That's what I'm learning. And they're more like a relay marathon, because if you try to do it alone, you're going to be like the first guy that ever did a marathon. You're going to barely make it to the finish line and pass out dead. So this year campaigning, I've really learned, and I've made a lot of great connections. I have had fantastic support from the community. I've had fantastic support from, other elected leaders and officials, and they've really helped to guide, the best way that we can make it happen to help serve, our city. Because ultimately that's the goal, right? It's not about winning. It's not about losing. It's about providing a service to the community. And I've gotten to learn so much, and I've gotten so much help. And that's been the big thing this year. I've got amazing volunteers that really care about their city and want to stand up, and they want to show up, and they want to help make a difference in some way. And I'm, blessed enough that they believe that I'm going to be one of the voices that's going to help to make that difference happen. So that's been a cool thing. I've learned that not everybody will approach you. So it's important that you need to go and you need to seek them out. You need to make the conversations happen with folks to find out, hey, what is it that you need? Or do you know about this that's going on? Or what's your thoughts on this? And that's really broadened my horizons, just to see just how many people, we're not completely sure of what's happening, or that they didn't seek out, how to make themselves heard. I've learned so much. We could spend all day talking about campaigning. I've learned about important shoes, for walking. You got to have good arch support. Get your rest, get your hydration. And there's so many different things with strategy and all of this. And, ultimately it's kind of weird, because everybody likes to get up here and say, well, I'm not a politician. I'm just a guy. And, that's true, for the most part. I'm not those things. I'm just somebody that cares and likes to speak up and wants to find out. I'm constantly curious. So I stick my nose in a lot of places, and I've learned a lot of cool stuff this year. And it's been and I hope continues to be just an amazing experience. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Question 7. What is your preferred solution for the North Cliff Golf Course property?
Preferred solution is... Here's how I think about it. I don't think as a city council person, you should take North Cliff in a silo, right? Because people who live in Rhine Valley are also dealing with sort of their proposed maybe high density housing, right? And so then you have a proposed 1518 units off of 1518, which has 300 units of workforce housing. This is a community issue. So what I don't want to do is fight North Cliff as if it's in a silo. I think the best thing as a city council person could do is sort of take it from a community perspective and see how their fight aligns with the vision and values of the citizens of Schertz, right? Our general direction. And so I personally am not totally in favor of high density housing, but the city of Schertz tries to keep their high density housing under 325, under 350, right? And so, but most importantly, if you don't like high density housing, or you do, the best thing you can do to influence that one over the next 3 years, over the next 20 years, is to go online and fill out the comprehensive plan online survey. That's the best thing you can do. If you want to make a difference in terms of high density housing, go online, fill out the survey and tell the city council, tell the planning and zoning commission, tell the mayor, tell everybody, I don't want high density housing. That's not what I want Schertz to be known for. I want Schertz to be known for family friendly environment, safety, security, high, great public service. That's the best thing you can do. And so they're fighting the battle right there. I'm not personally in favor of high density housing, but right now there's nothing to vote on, right? So they've taken it off the table. But I'm there for the whole community and not just Northcliffe. There are currently like 54 neighborhoods and growing in the city of Schertz. So you can't fight this battle and this battle for all 54. Every neighborhood has a battle. They want something improved. Well, you have to take it from a holistic viewpoint and how it affects the whole city of Schertz.
Well, my preferred solution, right, because now I've started picking up golfing, would be for it to be a golf course. I could live on a golf course again and ride my little mini Jeep golf cart out there and hit a couple holes before I head home. But, unfortunately, it's just not feasible. And I think a lot of my community has now come to terms with the fact that what it was is something that it's more than likely never going to be again. And, while that's unfortunate, it gives us an opportunity. It gives us an opportunity to be something different. Like I said earlier, and we've had a podcast episode about this before with the Northcliffe PID, where we can go a little bit more in detail about it on that. But the neighborhoods have come together and we've kind of decided, we talk about making it into a park. We talk about making it into this, and everybody's got a strong opinion one way or the other. Whereas right now, since the golf course closed down, it's been a walking trail, right? People get on the cart path, they go around and get some exercise in. They don't have to, drive all the way over to Pickerel Park or Crescent Bend. And that's worked very well. It brings a lot of people joy. It's low traffic. It's low impact. So the people that, immediately abut the golf course don't have herds of children running through their backyard every day. And we don't have a whole lot of people that are, just popping up and poking around. And so when we kind of started hashing out what we were going to do, and the idea of a PID was brought up, and the possibility that since City Council, their whole reason the PID was started is because City Council said, and I quote, well, why don't you put your money where your mouth is? You should have bought the land if you wanted to, decide what's going to be done with it. And my neighbors, being upset about things that were prospectively going to be put behind our largest investment statistically, right, is our homes. And so we decided, hey, here's a way where we can all come together. We can pool this fund through a special assessment, that's going to be attached to all the people that are going to see a benefit from it in our community. And over a little bit of time, we can buy the course. We can create, a walking trail that's maintained, that's actually mowed, so that we don't, have tons of rats and snakes and coyotes and stuff coming up like we currently do. And we make something that gives a service to the community while providing green space and beautification, right? We live in one of the most beautiful parts of this great state, all right? We need to have the appreciation and some respect to the beautiful outdoor areas that we have. And this puts it literally right in your backyard. I can wake up and have a cup of coffee and see some deer coming over the hill out of the old sand bunker, and everybody enjoys that. I think that's the best situation, is if we work together and we make that happen.
Question 8. This question comes from our local business show. Over the course of the last few years, Schertz has made improvements with permitting. What else can be done to streamline that process?
Streamline the process. I will tell you, I'm not sure what can be done to streamline the process, but here's what I would do as a city council person. If it's not measured, it doesn't get done. So you have to hold those people responsible for it to get it done. I send direction. I send them vision. I sort of say, hey, listen, as a board, as a city council people, here's what we want. We want to improve the process, and we expect for you, the city manager, economic development, and planning and zoning, to get it done. That's, what I'm saying? We're not the subject matter experts. At least, generally speaking, we are not the subject matter experts, but they are. And so if we measure it, if we hold them accountable, it will get done. And so that's how I perceive it. And I will tell you that is consistent with what I've heard. And so we did the strength, weakness, and opportunities and threats. Regulations and cost of development were high on the list of weaknesses for the city of Schertz. Impact fees, overly restrictive codes, ordinances. I do remember talking to a lady out there, I think in Halley's Cove. She was getting solar put on her house. And so solar was done. She had an inspection. Solar was done. And before they had another inspection, it took over a year. So she had to get another inspection. That makes no sense, right? You shouldn't have to get 2 inspections and pay extra fees and all of this. The process is unwieldy. It's inefficient. But that, as a city council person, that's where I come in and ask the city manager, head of economic development, head of planning and zoning, to shore up the process, make it efficient and effective for businesses to come in here and do it.
Well, I think the first thing that we need to come into is we need to go in and actually analyze where our permitting is a little bit over restrictive. We need to get clarification on what some of our permitting and requirements are. Otherwise we're going to get in a situation like Cibolo over there with the Main Street stuff that's going on. If it's not clear and upfront and everybody doesn't understand the rules that they're playing by, inherently you're going to cross some lines, or you're going to perceive that some lines have been crossed. One of the big things that's going on right now that I keep hearing about from every business owner I talk to is about improved parking surfaces. With the Main Street revitalization program, and however you feel about that, the city's dumping a lot of money into trying to make Main Street, look really pretty and be redone and kind of be a nice focal point for the center of our community. In that they've gone after a lot of business owners that are you guys can't visibly see the whole body eye roll that Kevin had over there, but we've got a lot of business owners that have for lack of a better term, got caught in the web, right? Because they didn't have, more than just a nice caliche pad or things like that for their customer parking, or they didn't have a, public access bathroom. All this stuff, you're looking at these small businesses, not chains, not, our Walmarts and Amazons and big corporations like that. We're looking at our small businesses that many times won't turn a profit for, 3 or 4 years because they keep investing and trying to grow and working to hone their craft. We're telling them, hey, we appreciate what you're doing in the city, but you need to take everything you got and dump it into a parking lot, or you need to remodel and make this bathroom available to the public. And that's not right. Our EDC needs to be doing more in that aspect to help work with our business owners, right? Because we want to have some economic development in the city, okay? And that's their job. And at the same time, we need to look at the city a little bit less with that eye of a bureaucrat and kind of bring some common sense into it and be like, okay, yeah, we understand. You look at Roadrunner Towing over there, they're telling them, you're an extended storage lot. They're not an extended storage lot, right? They don't fall under like a boat or an RV storage, but they're holding them to that standard when they do something completely different. And matter of fact, a business that serves our city, with amazing records and being able to clear all the cars that keep getting hit by trains off of 78, right? And so we as a city, we need to streamline those processes for them.
Question 9. There's been a lot of talk about Canine Mador. What's going on with that story, and what do you think should be done?
There's a win-win and there's a no-win situation here. So let me start off by saying my sister is a veterinarian up in Houston. She's the medical director for the Houston SPCA. And so I talked to her. I said, hey, what are we talking about here when there's separation between a dog and its handler after they've been together for so many years? She says there is separation anxiety, right? There is problems. And so I get from a pet owner, I get the sort of the emotional aspect of separating the two. And so I think there's an emotional aspect in favor of Mador and his handler reuniting. And then on the other side, from the city's standpoint, there is a fiduciary responsibility. That is essentially a city resource that has been paid for by the city, by the residents of Schertz. And what do you do about that one aspect? So how do you mesh the two? And here's where the two, I think, need to sort of communicate. I think we want what's in the best interest of Mador and we want, and at the same time, balance that with what's in the best interest of Schertz. And I think it'd be had. What I think is the city of Schertz probably needs to give a little bit more and find a way to reunite the dog, Medor, and its handler, right? Some type of financial compensation, however you want to handle it. Give them direction to sort of say, make it happen. Give it to the city manager. Give them direction, say, make it happen. And at the same time, it's going to take about a year, maybe a year and a half for us to get another resource, another officer to that effect. But I think in a year and a half, I think the city of Schertz, the town of Schertz, can weather the storm. But both are right and both are wrong. And the city of Schertz really, listen, you probably only have maybe a year and a half of effective use out of Medor, right, before you're going to need to do it anyway. So in the next 6 months, what I would caution and recommend is start the whole process of getting a new resource, a new Medor, whatever the dog's name is, and start the process. We can make both sides happy here. They've taken hard lines, they've taken hard stances, and once you've taken hard stances, it's hard to come to the middle. But there probably needs to be somebody in the middle to sort of say, hey, listen, we can make this happen. Medor probably needs to be with his handler because it's going to take another 6 months, 9 months for the new handler to become proficient with Medor. Well, you're already halfway down the road. I think you can make it happen. I sort of favor on the side of the city making it happen.
Well, the good news is that all kind of reached a resolution late yesterday, early today. So K9 Medor, pending council approval at the October 10th meeting, is going to be retired over to his former handler, Corporal Hanley. It was a source of a lot of controversy, and I think it brought a lot of eyeballs into processes inside our city and how citizens get involved, what's the right way to be involved, and where our formal procedures need to be. I went and I met with the police chief about many other things, but of course, one of the things that I got asked to address a lot was about Medor, and I listened to his side of it, and I had kind of formed an opinion, and I had my own concerns going in, and after talking with him, I felt like the things that I was concerned about were addressed, but ultimately, in the lack of a policy, it comes down to police chief's decision. Per the policy, it says, in light of anything else, the only one that's allowed to change policy or do that is the police chief, and the police chief has full authority over his staffing, right? And it's considered a staffing issue. Do you like it? Is it the best case scenario? Is it the best way that it could have been done? No, straight up. But hindsight's 20/20. Right? And that's the cost of leadership. Sometimes you have to make a decision that you believe to be the best decision, and it's going to negatively affect somebody that you like. And a lot of times you're not going to have the ability to speak out and defend yourself on it. And so I sympathize with that. Now, I was, met with a lot of resistance when I had said, hey, the situation's this, and we need to trust in our leadership, and we need to trust in things that are going on. And I was able to get in contact with Corporal Hanley and hear his side of it. And we had a very pleasant discourse back and forth. I asked questions about things that I was unsure of, and I challenged him on points that he had. He challenged me on things that I had, and at the end of the day, we got off the phone call and we said, hey, I can sympathize with you and I can see your position and it's not unreasonable. I disagree with this or that, but, ultimately it comes down to this. But now, the situation has changed. They've been able to reevaluate it. K9 Officer Medor has started to show some new medical issues and a flare-up of a previous medical issue that had not been discovered yet. And that's kind of allowed them to, some people will say, oh, you get to take the off-ramp for this project, right? But that's what it is. That's decision-making, right? You should never be firm in your opinions. You should constantly be reevaluating, and that's what they did. And so now he'll be reunited with his handler, and I think we went through a roundabout route to get there, but ultimately everything's been addressed. And most people are gonna be happy with this. I really feel everybody, because you can't keep a dog working that's got no more service life, and you can't And then you also don't want to rip a companion away from somebody that's been their partner for 7-8 years. And so with this, it really kind of forced the hand, to make a call. And it was a good call.
Number 10 is, closing statement. What do you want to say to the folks?
Robert Westbrook, bottom line up front, I'm asking for your support, asking for your vote. I think the best part about me is what you get is my experience, and you get somebody who's able to lead from day one, right? There's less of a learning curve because I've already learned about Open Meetings Act, budgeting from a municipal standpoint, because I've already been on the Schertz Universal City Independent School District for 12 years now. So the learning curve is less. I'm here to support. I want to advocate. I think the best way, people say, well, how are you going to do it? Professional development. I'm gonna try to tell you what I've done in the past. And so if you believe that a past behavior is the best predictor of future success, I'm going to tell you what I've already done. I've already had 500 hours of CE units trying to better the school district, trying to better the improvement in student outcomes for your own students, right, and the budget. So I've already done that. Public professional development. Next, outcomes, right? I want quantitative and qualitative outcomes for the city of Schertz. Main part about that one is I will judge the success of my success and the council's success based upon the comprehensive plan. You need to go online, fill that one out, and get all your friends to do it. So I need to have outcomes. And next, you need to be an advocate. I want you to know when I was on the TASB Board of Directors, I was a chairman of the legislative committee, so I am used. I was in John Kempel's office, right? I would be in legislators' office advocating on what's in the best interest of Schertz Universal City, your students, right? You're on your budget and your children. That's what I was doing. I was already doing it. And so I've already done it. It's a good indication of what I will do and continue to do for the residents of Schertz. I just want an opportunity to do it at a different level and make Schertz a little bit better than what I found it and when I moved in here for.
Really, I'm going to be out there working. I'm going to be out there trying to get my message across to everybody. Not just my message, but the message of our community and what it is that we want. There's a lot of things that our city needs to address. There's a lot of things that we can do better on. There's a lot of ways that we can set ourselves up for success in the future and in the long term if we do a little bit of the hard work and we deal with a little bit of the uncomfortability right now. We need to work on our taxes. That's a big thing. We're not blessed with the same sales tax that Selma gets. So we've got to promote and we've got to bring in different things that are going to help to offset what our residential taxes are. And we've also got to keep in mind that we have a lot of small businesses. So we can't just, focus solely on franchise tax. We can't just focus fully on, trying to squeeze every little drop that we can out of business owners either, the other thing that Schertz has going against it, and it's not a negative thing by any means because it helps to make us who we are, is 1 out of every 5 homes has some sort of, disabled veteran exemption, and that's lost tax revenue that we don't have. 1 out of every 5 homes has a complete and total exemption. 1 out of every 2 homes has some exemption. It's and we only recoup about 20% of that lost revenue through programs, especially because that bill failed in the Texas legislature this year. Hopefully they revisit that and we get that put in there and make a change to help our city out and recoup some of those funds that we lose that those residents don't pay because they damn well earned it, right? But those are things that we need to look at. We had a 7% tax increase this year. Let's call it what it is. We dropped the rate, but because of appraised valuations, everything went up. We went from a 0.4950 to a 0.4872. That's going to be about a $700 or $800 increase for the average house. Okay, it's more money out of our pocket. Now, hopefully that's going to be offset with the increase in the homestead exemption that we're going to get for our school district taxes. And also, the school district has dropped their tax rate quite a bit, actually. They dropped their tax rate, and as such, the taxes for them are actually going down as well. we need to be constantly addressing these things because we're starting to get to the point where tax bills have increased so much that people that are retired or that are on fixed incomes or that are locking into their tax rate as they, come of age, we're about to be to the point where our appraisal values are so through the roof that you're taxed out of your house, or you're going to be held in golden handcuffs because you're not going to be able to take that value and carry it over anywhere else. And we need to explore all the options for the things that have to do with that. One of the biggest things is a big chunk of our budget goes to interest and sink, right? That's all that money that we spend, all those debts that we're going to issue. And, we watch the budget proposal, and there are millions and millions of dollars of further debt that the city's going to issue. You got to spend money sometimes. And we just need to make sure that it's done in a way that it brings value to our citizens. In this tax session, or in our tax rate, talks this time for the city budget, one of the big things we did do is we addressed compensation. Okay. That goes for our city staff. That goes especially so for our police, for our firefighters, for our EMS. These are the things that you hope that you don't need, but when you need them to be the best that they can possibly be. We're 10 officers short on the streets right now. And part of that problem is because our pay isn't in line where we're able to attract great candidates. That's getting fixed. Or at least we're making a step in the right direction. And we're going to be able to retain the good people that have been here serving us. And we're going to be able to bring new people that are the cream of the crop, that are going to help, prevent any of the snafus that we could have by bringing in inexperienced or undesirable folk. Our fire department, same thing. We're losing people to surrounding departments and stuff like that. We got to stay on top of that. We got to respect our businesses, but we got to learn to grow, and we got to grow in the right way. We got to grow, and we got to listen to our residents and make sure that they have a voice and that we share the vision that we want for the city.
Paul, thanks for coming in.
Always happy.
Robert Westbrook, thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much. God bless, and let's go get a win.
All right.